Hello, puppies and kittens. Welcome to another episode of Reading Joseph Smith. And I'm about to offer a toast to absent friends. We have one in a war-torn country at the moment, so Tomer will not be joining us today because, as you all have doubtless heard, his country has been bombarded with a bunch of rockets and at least 1,000 people killed. So he's not going to be with us today. But he says that he's expecting that upcoming again. It's just that he'll be with us. He's fine. His family is fine, and all of that. And he's expecting to be with us, in upcoming episodes. So,
broadcasting from the bomb shelter.
Yeah. So as for the rest of us, any opening comments?
Shan is still recovering. It's hopeful that she has now moved back home from her family's care facility, and she is hoping to be back pretty soon here. So she's just kind of getting back into the regular swing of things. But yeah, still on the recovery.
Good to hear.
Yep, very good to hear. And we are doing Alma 51, I believe it is.
It's the rumor.
Yep. And who wants to read today?
23 for me, chapter 23.
Mm-hmm. I do want to do preface because we're getting into more political conflict, and our antagonist right now is Pahoran. We know these strong evil names, Korahor and Pahoran and Coriantumr, and these names are obviously these are the bad guys. And we just now met Tian Kum. Yes, Tian Kum. Who is a super duper awesome good guy. So that's who we have. Is Moroni is the king awesome shit who genocided his political rivals, and we have Pahoran, who is trying to set up a fiat, or set up the kingman as it's called, and Tiancum is the person who is like Moroni's lieutenant, who is hopefully going to answer the charge.
I'm sure you mispronounced. I'm sure you mispronounced one of the names. Coriantumr is probably our two people. It's Corey and Tomer.
When you meet someone named T and Cum, and they offer
tea
you
and semen,
and they offer you a beverage at about 4 p.m. Don't take it with cream.
I just want to know, we're going to spend all this time in tea and cum, and we're just ignoring all of the names with whore in it.
Yeah, and whoring.
Whoring around. I might have to reset my PC. It's being a weirdo. I'll be back.
The PC is being a weirdo.
Well,
always
my
blame the
windows
equipment.
aren't snapping at the whole thing. Oh, you know what? I bet I'm like, maybe I'm just like sitting on
this week's
I have so
episode
many
of Jimmy's Tech
keyboards.
Difficulties.
Oh,
We are
yeah,
not
I
reading the
just
Book of
had
Mormon.
my like third keyboard. There was a key on it. There was a
Coffee,
thing
tea, and
weighing down
semen
the
we
key.
despise. We all have work.
You know,
already have
Everyone
comments.
jerk.
I try to share my
Everybody
life
jerk.
and my interests with you guys. You just shit all over me. Don't even come here. You're being a real pay-horin right now.
We love it when you tea and come here and help us get through this text.
I'm drinking a
So-
chai tea.
Yeah.
Nice. That's a bit
in the
redundant.
mood.
Chai is tea. Chai is Russian word for tea.
Mine's tea with almond milk.
I'm
almond milk.
really worried about the wider part in Gazalem's drink. It's the part in the
almond
bottom.
It's not a Kleenex. It's a facial tissue. Kleenex is a brand. Da, da, da. That's Aaron Ra. That's my impression of Aaron Ra's voice. It's pretty accurate.
For sure. Don't get him started on Davenports. I only have a regular coffee. I feel so basic.
I had a friend named Thomas Davenport when I lived in Florida.
And was he couch shaped?
No, he was human shaped.
Okay.
Oh, that's
So-
unfortunate.
First
How's the
comment
weather,
is
guys?
First comment is from
Rainy.
Matt White. It says, Bryce, are
Yeah.
true believing Mormons creationists?
That's a fun question. Gazalem is kind of summarizing it really well because there's a tremendous amount of variability. What's really interesting is like the Mormon population is more educated than most other Christian denominations because that's seen as like a cultural virtue. but they are not oftentimes scientists. They're more oftentimes towards engineers or towards anatomy, you know, the medical field and everything, the more mechanical instead of the exploratory sciences. But that the church itself has never claimed that evolution is cool. The church has many times repeatedly, church leaders and in official church publications has said that evolution is impossible. I know that creationist, evolution, it's these two terms are not the same terms, but this is my heuristic for it. And yeah, that means that there's a bunch of variability there. It's like the more conservative Mormon you are, the more likely you are to be a creationist. It's just it's kind of the same as standard Christianity that way.
I don't know if you remember, Aaron, I sent you guys all a poster board of a wall in the Bean Museum at BYU, and it had the one side of the tree was all about evolution, and then the other was the science of faith, and then it broke down both sides of it. And so if you go to the Bean Museum and at BYU, they really push evolution, but it's kind of this weird hybrid, like those evangelical museums where it's not a creation museum, but and they have all the other stuff, the science, but it's really weird.
Well, and BYU has a biology department, right? They have numerous courses that, of course, like you can't do that course unless you like understand evolution, right? So like they teach evolution at BYU just
as a fact. Even they don't teach it as like, they don't do the like, it's just that and there are some fundamental things that they don't. So Mormons have no problem with accepting that the universe is ginormous. The ones that are still going to say that somehow it's less, it's 10,000 years old, are in conflict with their own beliefs about the size of the universe because they don't understand light years and stars distance. But regardless,
that's not just Mormons though.
Yeah, for sure. So
fundamentally,
they do accept, they have no problem accepting things that aren't in direct conflict with some stuff, because they can easily just adopt that into like, well, that just shows how great God is, that he was capable.
God was the trigger. He's the one that made evolution.
God's so big that when he needed to make an earth just for us, he couldn't help but basically make a ginormous universe that showed off his power and his sheer my audio should have just improved dramatically. I hope it did. Anyway, that sheer, but then there are even the people who accept evolution and stuff still have to, because of temple ceremony, come up with some way that Adam and Eve are a literal event. So like my dad thinks that maybe there was humans before, but Adam and Eve were the first ones with souls, or maybe they were put on the earth as the isolated, the special starters of the real humans and everything before, which also fundamentally misunderstands evolution, or makes your God extremely cruel and has 100% full Homo sapiens without souls, which would be antithetical to a lot of other Christian tradition. They also have to believe in some kind of Noah's flood. That sort of shit.
Actually, Shan just put a comment in the YouTube. She said Mormons accept evolution as how God created everything, and I think that's probably pretty consistent for temple attending Mormons who are still like generally not like radical, anti-science people. They'll like, oh no, just evolution is just a mechanism that God put in place. And usually that does like you were saying, Gazalem, of like they have to negotiate, or they have to have it because of the temple ceremonies. They have to like have those two conflicting things in their head.
When I explained evolution to my dad, he didn't even try to resist accepting it. He literally, all that makes sense, all that, and makes my God even greater. And basically from that moment on, he stopped claiming that you could figure out the age of the earth by taking that bookmark from seminary with all the ages and adding them up. That was what he used to do. A deep cut. But meanwhile, my brother, who at least at some point was pursuing a biochemistry degree, but I think probably didn't last because they definitely didn't end up with it, but would have had evolution explained to him, and yet is still a young earth creationist Mormon. And my uncle is a young earth creationist Mormon, and had the audacity to say to me, well, the second law of thermodynamics definitely can't do it. And I literally, oh yeah, what's that? Tell me about the second law.
Yeah. Tell me the other laws. Can you name all 3 laws?
Amber, you're getting way ahead of yourself. He couldn't answer the one he said. Well, chaos can't create order. That's not it. That's not it at all. That is a layman's inference that sucks.
Hello,
Shannon.
Hey,
Shannon.
Oh, Shenandoah. Shannon was like, Jimmy's talking too much on this episode. I'm going to fix it.
That's fair.
Hi.
Well,
Yeah,
also
the
without
question
Tomer
about-
here, we were not going to ever read the Book of Mormon, so we have to have somebody who is like, "Can we read the
Tomer.
fucking book?"
I was just thinking about 5 minutes ago, Tomer would have been like, "Guys, we're off topic
It's
here."
2:00 in the fucking morning. Let's read the fucking book. Yeah.
I-
I'm here for Tomer. No, I'm just like, nope. I'm the general authority of my own podcast, so
There we
I
go.
reserve all rights to make a dramatic entrance.
Who's
Fuck
That's
yeah.
presiding,
why
by
I
the
am
way?
here.
Who's
And
presiding?
way better than Oak.
I am presiding. I'm the general authority and the only female on this panel.
Now,
There you go.
usually I arrive late, but we ended early the other show. I'm shocked. No opening prayer. There was none. How do we know God is walking with us? And
That's right.
how else will this chai be nourishing and strengthening for my
Oh
body?
God, yeah, we got to do that. To bless it, to nourish and strengthen our bodies and do us good.
Hang on, let me grab
And-
some donuts. Nourish and
Bless.
Most
strengthen.
heavenly mothers,
Yes.
our most precious and heavenly mothers, please bless us today that Aaron will fill the spirit.
We got to
Whoa! Holy crap!
Good luck with that.
I thought Aaron was going to say, I don't want to switch from beer to spirits.
So, since they brought up the creationist question in reference to Mormons, I have to throw out a little anecdote here. My mother and I got into this argument many years ago, and I'm trying to explain that I can prove evolution to you, and this is when she said the line that I've quoted so many times. She says, "I believe what I believe because that's what I believe. I believe that. And I'm not going to believe what you believe because that's not what I believe." She actually said that line to me.
I mean,
And then she ran off to church angry at me for saying that I could prove evolution when she doesn't want to believe evolution. And so somebody at church told her that you're Mormon. We don't have to be creationists. It's okay to believe in evolution. So my mother comes home now, having gotten permission from the church. She
Yep.
sits down and she says, "I believe in evolution now."
That's how it is.
What is it?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
She said, "I believe in evolution now. What is it?"
Oh, that's excellent.
Russell M.
Yeah.
Nelson's latest talk was all about that. Never take counsel from those who do not believe.
Who do not
Yep.
believe. Yes. You
Direct
got to
quote.
absolute direct quote. Yep.
Yep. Only seek
Okay.
advice from the prophets.
Yep.
Ember
old-
appropriate.
Mhm.
Yep, that's a
So-
big facepalm, Jesus.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not going to go in any more of that anecdote, but it was just so bizarre. I mean, I tried to explain to my mother what evolution is, and I said, well, rather than have me explain it, let's have you tell me what you think it is. When I see a problem, I'll jump in. And she says, okay, well, evolution is where a bunch of atoms get together and make a fish, and a bunch of other atoms get together and make a man.
Hell yeah. Nailed it.
Hence, the
Today-
first atom is
It
many
checks out.
atoms.
The
Today
Adam
I
God
learned that-
doctrine.
Today I learned that Aaron's mom was the inspiration for the song I Believe in the Book of Mormon.
There we go. Now, here's the question. Did they name Adam as in ATOM Adams because of ADAM?
Yeah, it's all
I've heard that one a
it
few
mixed
times.
up in the Hebrew. Daleth and Teth. Daleth and Teth. are
Yeah, there's
sort of
one other thing I want to throw in here before we read the comments, and then the book.
Oh, there's a book?
in the in the herpetological community. One of the foremost people, one of the most respected people in like snake keeping and all of that, is a committed Mormon. He's a lecturer at Brigham Young University. Which I just find mystifying because everybody in herping, apparently knows if you know about morphs and you know about these different gene combinations and you know evolution to some degree. It's just hard for me to imagine a creationist being involved in herping. But this leading authority, he's a lecturer at BYU, so I get confused as to how that can. I know the guy's got to understand evolution, but it doesn't make sense to me. But anyway,
he's doing it for himself, right? He's just trying to conquer the temptations of Satan in the most direct path possible.
There we go.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, he's not that crazy snake handler. He's like, he's an enthusiastic pet owner, and he does a lot of videos on keeping different snakes and lizards and such as pets, and a lot of people respect his opinion and his work. But anyway,
he does lectures.
So comment from Raven 200.
And he does lectures,
What?
so he's harping about herping. Sorry.
That was wonderful, Peter.
Okay, so the Raven 200 offers $5 and says, I got a 12-pack of A&W root beer ready for the show. Let's go, y'all.
Very Mormon. Very good.
Second best root beer in the world.
I know it.
Jimmy, go take a flying blood scythe rampant arc rampage by Yataro.
Just when Jimmy isn't here to hear such a painful insult.
That's what he went to do. He felt.
He knew it was coming.
He knew it was coming.
Yep. Then Mormon Skeptic says Rusty Nelson is an anti-evolution young earth creationist. Use the Kent Hovind trope of dogs produce dogs, cows produce cows.
Yeah.
Well, there's a reason you're all related to strawberries. It's because of Strawberry Jesus.
That's it. There we go.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Strawberry Jesus.
And then Mormon Skeptic chimes in and says, I got my bachelor's in bio from BYU, Idaho. Many of my professors were old earth creationists. Made me reconcile the non-literal Adam/Eve story with temple ceremony.
Yeah.
Wow.
Rick College is way more strict too.
It's interesting because I started at BYU Provo in 1985, and it was a huge discussion then, the whole evolution issue and everything else. And so you'd get together, you'd be assigned study groups for whatever fucking class it was. And the first thing you would be discussing is, what was your stance on evolution? You could, and it would be an English class or a music class or a history class, not to mention the science class. But that was always the first discussion, is where did you stand on the evolution issue? Once it was resolved and you were done fighting about it, then you could go on and do what you had to do. It was the weirdest thing. It was absolutely the weirdest thing.
Yeah, I wish I could. I can't even relate to that. The next comment from Raven 200 offers $2 and says, welcome, Shannon. I hope your health is well. Go fuck yourself, Jimmy.
Yes, I am doing well. We still aren't sure what's going on with my heart, but my pleural effusions are done, and my lung has been glued to my rib cage so that it can't collapse again. And so we'll know more with my heart at the end of December when I have my next echocardiogram. Right now, the cardiologists are somewhat puzzled because my heart's behaving in strange ways. And I was like, so my heart's weird. Okay, thank you. That's good to know. But so far, I mean, actually, everything's going fairly well, relatively speaking. So we'll see. We'll know more at the end of December.
You're just missing a couple of teeth off the timing gear.
Yeah, that's all. No biggie. Yeah.
Other than that, I think your problem is just the carburetor.
Yeah.
Float stuck. The float stuck.
Proof of a super intelligent designer. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. All of this is right.
Hardened heart and stiff neckedness.
Then Mormon Skeptic says, atom comes from the Greek atomos. One of the first things I cover in my high school chem class, full of YEC and flat earth Mormons.
Ooh, fun stuff.
Yeah, that's true. It's just what is it, a homonym when things sound similar? No, homonym is when they sound this. Homophone is when they sound the same. I know English, I promise.
And I do not envy you, Mormon skeptic, having to teach high school chemistry and saying full of young earth creationists, flat earth Mormons. I presume that means that you are a public school teacher in Utah somewhere. I do not envy that job. Thank you for doing the Lord's work.
We
I would
Fighting
love
a
to.
hell of a battle on the front lines.
we should
are
hook
I
him
would
up.
love for my mother.
Yeah.
I would love for my mother to find out that there's such a thing as a flat Earth Mormon.
We should hook up Mormon skeptic. I know a YouTuber who has taught high school science for 15 years.
Oh,
Oh no.
Ember, bring up the strawberry Jesus again.
And he talks out of the side of his mouth.
Your Jesus was a strawberry.
There you go.
Isn't
then
it weird
Lilith
how
liberated.
chemistry
Yep.
and DNA work? So
Hmm.
that's the thing, is it works. So how do you explain that?
And then our own Lilith says, no, atom means uncuttable. It came from Lucretius. It can both.
So Adam's not circumcised?
Mm.
you were technically correct.
Beautiful.
You are technically correct. The best kind of correct.
Then Frankenstein offers $4.99 and says, this donation is so you can insult Jimmy for me. He likes it. And he did great talking to a Catholic priest some moments ago.
There you go.
I wish Jimmy was on
Ooh.
camera. I'd love to ask him about this.
Yeah.
All right. So, who's
Okay,
reading today, Grandma?
Yeah. Because I'm like, yeah. So I've missed. Let's see, what all have I missed? I've
Oh my
missed
God.
the description of Captain Moroni, which I was so pissed at missing because that was Alma 48. Because I was like, I was wanting so bad to be here for that because that was like the epitome that young women were taught to look for in a man to marry. And so I had that whole thing memorized, was all that shit. But I missed the harlot,
Yeah, a
right?
lot.
Have I missed the 2000 stripling
Not yet.
warriors? Not yet.
A lot
Okay.
of
Oh,
clothing
title
that's
renting,
right. Matt White, there's your spoiler.
renting
Okay.
of clothing,
This-
Yep.
Have we done that? We did the.
Yep. Title of Liberty.
Okay.
Done that.
title
Well,
of
fuck.
liberty.
Okay.
Yep.
So we're getting into the other stuff. The 2000.
So these are the
Are
guys
coming
that
up.
wear the collars and the cufflinks, but no shirts.
Basically, I know, right? God. And then, oh my God.
I had to go to the bathroom. Are we talking about the Chippendales? The fuck is this?
The 2000 of them, and they
Helaman's
don't
Chippendales.
die.
The stripling
back?
warriors.
Oh, we're doing the Stripling Warriors. Hell yeah.
They're coming up. That's in a couple-
Stripping.
Yeah.
The stripping warriors, yes.
All right.
The
So
Lord
Alma
needs
51.
naked
Huh?
servants. Sorry.
We are as the army of Helaman. That's the song.
Helaman.
Yep. All right.
Who writes these
Chapter
songs?
51. Here we go. And now it came to pass
Hey.
Oh, I've been missing
in
that
the
voice.
commencement of the 25th year of the reign of the judges over the people of Nephi, they having established peace between the people of Lehi and the people of Morianton concerning their lands, and having commenced the 25th year in peace. Nevertheless,
In the Middle East.
Nevertheless.
they did not long maintain an entire peace in the land, because their people
Wait, an entire piece or a piece of a piece?
piece of a
piece.
piece
Sorry.
of the entire
Not
piece.
even.
There, yeah. For there began to be a contention among the people concerning the chief judge Pehoran. For behold, there were a part of the people who desired that a few particular points of the law should be altered.
Yeah.
But behold, Pehoran would not alter, nor suffer the law to be altered. Therefore, he did not hearken to those who had sent in their voices with their petitions concerning the altering of the law. Of course, they
Okay,
don't say
alright.
how they want the law to be altered.
Yeah, and that's the thing. All right, so the people are saying we want to change the law, like, you know, making a bill, a democratic process. Okay,
Yeah.
very cool. But of course, because it's Pohoran, this is an evil, evil thing. We must put down this insurrection and make sure that we maintain the status quo of the reign of judges that were appointed by the holy man. So,
Right.
yeah.
I like how in Bryce's version, Pehoran is a Dennis the Menace-like character.
Pehoran!
By the way, Jimmy, when you were off camera, we had a couple of comments that mentioning you, and one of them, Frankenstein, says this donation is for me to insult Jimmy for me. he likes it, and he did a great job talking to a Catholic priest some moments ago. Tell me about that real quick, would you?
Yeah, look, I can't say for sure this is what happened, but I'm pretty sure I caused a Catholic priest to have a faith crisis on air because I got him to admit that faith is not a reliable pathway to truth, and that his belief and faith is indistinguishable from the faith of anybody else who believes on faith. So, yeah,
Profound.
I'm looking forward to his future atheism if he keeps following the road we put him on.
Definitely. All right, then another comment from Elizabeth Davis offers $10 and says, "This is for you, Aaron." Well, thank you. And then Sebastian, the art czar, offers $35 and says, "Aaron, I just want to ask why you don't debate cunt anymore. Humble him again." Because there's a certain point when it just becomes, I know that this is an inappropriate term, but kicking the cripple was the colloquialism we would use when I was a kid.
Yeah.
There's just a point when you're done, you know?
Beating a dead horse. Yeah.
I thought there was actually someone, I went to look at what the spelling was. I thought there was somebody whose name actually is basically pronounced cunt. And I was going to make a joke about, do you ever bring him a sandwich? Do you remember to serve cunt? Because that's a Gen Z phrase. But anyway, you don't.
There is a parody account with that name. It's no, Cunthoven. It's a geologist named Beamsy who shows up in the atheist sphere. He's a fantastic critter, but that's his parody channel.
I was recently told that my haircut when it was mid-length was, and I quote, serving cunt. I don't know fully how to use it because that didn't make sense to me, but for sure.
Yeah,
my kids haven't taught me that one yet.
Oh, it means the ability to portray great realness regardless of gender. So it sounds like a new version of the word based.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Then Minute Rice for $6.60 and says, "Another Sunday, another skewering of this book. Love this show. Jimmy, go take a gate of Babylon to the face."
Whoa.
Tight.
There you go.
All right, Grandma.
Okay. Where are we? Number 4, verse 4. Therefore, those who were desirous that the law should be altered were angry with him. Well, of course they were. They weren't listening, and desired that he should no longer be chief judge over the land. Therefore, there arose a warm dispute concerning the matter, but not unto bloodshed.
I love cuddly disputes. Just hug it out, folks.
A warm dispute.
It was warm. And it came to pass, number 2, that those who were desirous that Pahoran should be dethroned from the judgment seat were called kingmen, for they were desirous that the law should be altered in a manner to overthrow the free government and to establish a king over the land. And those who were desirous that Pahoran should remain chief judge over the land took upon them the name of freemen.
Yeah.
They had really cool suits.
I was just going to ask, do they have spice? The spice must flow.
Yeah. And the still suits were amazing. These guys made whiskey in them. Okay. And thus for the division among them, for the freemen had sworn or covenanted, which is important to use that word, covenanted, because that's a nice little weird, important word saying this is the good guys to Mormons, because temple covenants.
Oaths are for Gentiles.
Yeah. Covenanted to maintain their rights and the privileges of their religion by free government. And it came to pass that this matter of their contention was settled by the voice of the people. And it came to pass, for the voice of the people came in favor of the freemen, and Pahoran retained the judgment seat, which caused much rejoicing among the brethren of Pahoran, and also many of the people of liberty. So that you remember the title of liberty there, who also put the kingmen to silence, and they durst not oppose, but were obliged to maintain the cause of freedom. Now,
freedom. I've got to find a way to use the word durst in regular English at some point.
They durst not.
How durst you?
Yeah.
I bet you durst not try this hot sauce.
There you go. Now, those who were in favor of kings were those of high birth, and they sought to be kings, and they were supported by those who sought power and authority over the people. Of course, in Mormonism, this is supposed to be bad, those of high birth, but in Mormonism, those of high birth, like, say, the Romneys or something, or some of these others, that's a big deal in Mormonism. So it's like, well, okay, I'm not sure you really wanted to be slamming them there, Joseph, because everybody later,
the Huntsmans.
Huntsman or Christofferson, or there's a ton of names. Allred. I think it's interesting to keep in mind here, right? the name of the people, the freemen, right? Like, that's their own label for themselves, right? Their cause of the freedom, right? So the people of Pahoran, he's a populist leader, but they're trying to change or alter the government based on a populist movement. So, okay, that comes with all sorts of mixed baggage and mixed results. Okay, I get that. The secondary is that they are rebelling against the status quo, which is a plutarchy, right? I guess we have the reign of the judges, and this is a nepotistic empire that they just get to appoint whoever they want to succeed them afterwards. And now they're saying that we no longer want the reign of nepotistic judges. We instead want a king. And so, like, a monarchy is replacing a plutarchy in this regard. Neither of these things are awesome, but very clearly the people are trying to vote to change the government system as it is. But that's setting the scene for how this is going to be resolved by the good guys for the rest of this chapter.
So are the good guys the ones with the nose candy that ride the giant worms?
Yeah.
Okay.
Apparently.
So
the
a
Kingsmen,
Book of Mormon,
the Kingsmen with all of their weapons that are in, their umbrellas and shit, those are the bad guys. According
the
to
bad guys
Mormonism.
are the ones that can kill you with an umbrella.
Yeah.
Okay.
A Book of
Batman
Mormon,
fight one of those guys.
A Book of Mormon land ruled by judges. What is this? Zarahemla's got talent?
Oh God. Okay. That was actually pretty good, Jimmy.
Damn it, Jimmy.
Kind of a slow burn on that.
Are we even in
good.
Zarahemla? I don't know where we are.
We are somewhere. We're in the middle of everywhere. Yeah. But behold, this was a critical time for such contentions to be among the people of Nephi. For behold, Amalekiah had again.
Amalekiah.
I know how to say these the correct way.
But we have a new
Reformed
process.
Egyptian are, and
We have a new
Take all the
process
fun
of
out of it.
collaborative reading. Try
I
saying
don't
yeah.
care. I forgot the yeah part. Have I had any of those yet?
not yet.
think
I'm
so.
watching for him.
Okay. You're watching
These
for
guys
it.
aren't real Mormons. They don't even know how to say Amulicula.
Yes, they do, because it gives a pronunciation at the end of the fucking book.
It's the least useful.
The middle vowel or the middle syllable is a meow sound like a cat makes, just so everyone knows if you want to do it right.
Oh my God. All right. Amalekiah had again stirred up the hearts of the people of the Lamanites against the people of the Nephites, and he was gathering together soldiers from all parts of his land and arming them and preparing for war with all diligence, for he had sworn to drink the blood of Moroni.
Yeah.
Meaning
Oddly
Captain
specific
Moroni.
oath.
Yes. Very specific oath, because he's the bad guy. And this is Captain Moroni, not the other Moroni. That's the angel on top of Temple Moroni appearing to Joseph Smith Moroni. This is one of the other Moroni.
This is the guy that stormed the Capitol.
This is the one that got Joey all heated up when he came to visit the first time.
Also, super motherfucking racist against Native Americans, because that was a very common refrain for European settlers, was that the Native Americans would raid their farms and they would kill the peaceable white settlers and drink their blood. This was a common refrain. This is just super racist too.
Yep. But behold, we shall see that his promise which he made was rash. Nevertheless, he did prepare himself and his armies to come to battle against the Nephites. Now, his armies were not so great as they had hitherto been, because of the many thousands who had been slain by the hand of the Nephites. But notwithstanding their great loss, Amalickiah had gathered together a wonderfully great army, insomuch that he feared not to come down to the land of Zarahemla. Yeah, even Amalickiah did himself come down at the head of the Lamanites. And it was in the 25th year of the reign of the judges. And it was at the same time that they had begun to settle the affairs of their contentions concerning the chief judge Behoren. And it came to pass that when the men were called kingmen, that when the men who were called kingmen had heard that the Lamanites were coming down to battle against them, they were glad in their hearts, and they refused to take up arms, for they were so wroth with the chief judge and also with the people of liberty that they would not take up arms to defend their country. They were conscientious objectors. So, here's the question. Was that the law they were trying to change? That's
very interesting question.
I don't know.
Nobody says what the law was they were trying to change. And they went about it the right way to change the fucking thing. Yeah.
It baffles me. Like, which side is supposed to be the people of liberty? Because both sides want an absolute power with unquestionable authority and no freedom for anyone. So who's really defending liberty here?
Right. And furthermore, I also want to point out too, putting this book within the context of the world that it was written in, this is also commentary on the loyalists versus the federalists, right? This is the people who were loyal to Britain during the Revolution. They were known as kingmen. They were called colloquially or disparagingly kingmen because they wanted to keep the colonies loyal to the British government. So this is also observations of the social commentary, social interactions between people who were loyalists and people who wanted to actually get the revolution going. And the War of 1812.
Saying it's another anachronism?
I'd be willing to say that. And furthermore, the War of 1812 kind of re-spurned this idea of like, well, maybe it was a mistake to go through the revolution because, I mean, British troops were able to, march all the way to the capital and burn it, right? So like America had recently its second scrape with the British military powers. And once again, the people, like the conversations were re-sparked of like, is America strong enough to stand on its own, or should it rejoin Pax Britannica? So this is also commentary on the social interactions that are going on in the 1810s, 1820s here.
Yeah, beautiful commentary.
Excellent. All right. Oh, good. I get to really rack up the counter here. And it came to pass that when Moroni saw this, and also saw that the Lamanites were coming into the borders of the land, he was exceedingly wroth because of the stubbornness of those people whom he had labored with so much diligence to preserve. Yeah, he was exceedingly wroth. His soul was filled with anger against them. And it came to pass.
Those people are coming across our southern border, and I'm so wroth.
A fucking wall.
We're gonna make the Lamanites pay for it.
Build that damn wall. Yes, they do, actually. Oh, another spoiler. You're welcome, Matt. And it came to pass that he sent a petition with the voice of the people unto the governor of the land.
The governor? Where the fuck did the term governor come from?
We got a governor.
That's never been in this book before, and now we just have governors in addition to the judges. What the fuck is happening?
Yep, to pay a horn. Yep. Desired that he should read it and give him, Moroni, power to compel those dissenters to defend their country or to put them to death.
Time for a draft.
Good guy, Moroni.
There you go. That's our king. That's the person that we're gonna dress up
Freedom.
as when we go march on the Capitol.
This is the man that all of us young women were told to find a husband just like him. Somebody who says, let me kill everybody who doesn't do what I want them to do. Yeah. Give me permission.
Very manly.
Yeah.
This is
Freedom.
This is someone who we would revile as a war criminal, right? Like if this is somebody who lived today, America would have already deposed and murdered him. like
Right.
long since, right?
Right.
And
This is
installed their
when-
own
Right.
loyalists.
This is like if the whoever was in charge, whichever general was in charge, or the 27 generals in charge in the World War II who said, okay, I want to kill all the Amish and all of the what are they, Seventh-day Adventists and all these other that are conscientious objectors, just kill them all because they refuse to fight. That's what I want to do. Doesn't matter that they're Americans. Doesn't matter that my job is to defend them and this country. I want to kill them because they won't come and fight. That's
And
what
because they want
fairness-
to pose, and because they want to pose for a picture with this Bible.
In
Yes.
fairness, there are American generals capable of that sort of dumb
capable,
shittery
but there's
back then.
but
And
Yeah.
did they ask to do that?
well,
Well,
we don't
somebody-
know. It wouldn't surprise me.
Will somebody
say-
please
Go on.
will someone read the spoiler that before the chapter, because it talks about Moroni in a really weird way. It says like something like he persuades them to either die or fight or something like that.
He
Fight to
compels
defend
kingdom.
yourself against those who would kill
Moroni-
you, or I
Yeah.
will kill you, which makes me
says-
one of those who would kill you.
Right. Moroni compels the kingman to
Compels,
defend their country
yeah.
or be put to death. That's what it says.
The more we read about him, the more I agree with Senator Lee that Trump and this
man.
guy aren't too far apart.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well,
Hmm.
One of the
Hmm.
few things Senator Lee said that was correct.
I like
Yes.
Lamanites who weren't captured. Okay.
Yeah. And I hate the fact that Senator Lee is my senator.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
got to sting.
It sucks fucking royal. Yeah.
I mean, for a while, she wasn't my district, but she was still representing the state of Colorado. I used to have Lauren Boebert
Oh, yeah.
on the congressional side. Now I have the lovely Ted Cruz. Ted
Oh,
Cruz!
Yeah.
Hmm.
I don't know
You're
what
just
y'all's
picking
problem
all
is.
the winners.
I
You
got John
are.
Fetterman. He's great. I don't know what y'all's problem is.
So
Yeah.
you went from Bobert to her John.
Allegedly.
Oh, good. Okay.
Mr. and Mrs. Family Values right there.
There it is.
Allegedly.
Flee the country! Ah!
All right. So now, remember, he just said he wanted the power to compel the dissenters to defend their country, since we stopped in between. And so a reminder that this is what Moroni just said because of what comes up next. For it was his care to put an end to such contentions and dissensions among the people. Yeah. So how is he
Yeah.
going to put an end to it? He's just going to kill them all. Yeah.
Kill all of
I mean,
I
that
hate
would
to
put
see
an
you
end
all
to it. Yeah.
fighting, so here's my gun.
Yeah.
Show me your
Like-
face. I'll cure all your ills.
You're fighting the wrong way, so I'm going to kill you because you're not doing it my way. Yeah.
Retreat backwards.
Right. All right. For behold, this had been hitherto a cause of all their destruction. And it came to pass that it was granted according to the voice of the people.
No,
Oh, now they
it
get
was
to
not the
vote.
people. No. This was a decree. This was a fiat, right? This guy just said, "Hey, fight or I kill all of you," and they're like, "Yay, we agree! I vote in the affirmative." No,
Yeah.
no.
Did you ever play push or pull as a kid? Did anyone else have sadistic brothers that it's the one where they grab you by the ankles and then they put their foot in your crotch and then they let you have the option of push or pull, whether they're going to push their foot into your balls or pull your legs up, thereby
No.
compressing your balls the other way? No one
No,
else?
I
Well,
did
this
not.
sounds a lot like push or pull.
Ugh. This sounds like the clothesline version of Red Rover to me, but all
Do
right.
I need to bring this up in therapy? I feel like a lot of people are just
Yes, you
staring
do.
right now.
A little bit. Yep.
Yeah, we're sending you thoughts and bears, Jimmy.
Did anyone else
Kinda
have older
traumatized for
brothers?
you.
I feel like I'm not saying it was okay, but it does seem very in line with older brother stuff.
I mean, yeah,
Mine just
but that's not-
taught me to eat onions straight. That was what he did. I
Well,
think
hey,
you
onions
have
are
some really
great.
sadistic family members, dude. You need
True.
therapy.
I had
yes.
a step brother that was older than me for a very brief period because marriages collapse very quickly. But I had a step brother that was older than me, at some point in the mid 70s. And the only thing that I can remember he and I ever doing was that he got me high.
Oh boy.
In the early 2000s, the same brother that did that to me put knives in my pillow in the hopes I would stab myself in the brain and die.
Dude, I think your brother
Wow.
belongs in jail.
Oh, I
Okay.
do too. He's a family man now.
Of course.
Okay. Whew.
Okay.
All right. Now that we've all been traumatized by Jimmy's life, shall we go
So has
on?
anybody ever? I'm just kidding.
Yes, Jimmy? All right.
I'll save it for therapy.
Listen,
Yeah.
go on with the
And
other
I'm not
trauma.
going to compete. I'm not going to compete with Jimmy either. I think we probably could, but I'm not gonna.
I didn't
Just gonna let him
expect.
have it.
I thought push or pull would certainly be. I
No,
thought everyone with brothers would be like, "Oh yeah, that asshole thing."
all I
you
could
know.
think of is the push me pull you from Dr. Doolittle. All right. Okay. All right. And it came to pass, that's number 9, that Moroni commanded that his army should go against those kingmen to pull down their pride and their nobility and
Giggity.
level them with the earth, or they should take up arms and support the cause of liberty. And it came to pass, number 10. Catch up, Peter, number 10. And it came to pass that
I'm on
the
it.
army
I'm on it.
did march forth against them, and they did pull down their pride and their nobility.
In public.
So much that they did lift their weapons of war to fight against the men of Moroni. They were hewn down and leveled to the earth.
I got to
And it
work
came to
on.
pass.
I got to
What?
work on my word association. You pull down their pride. I didn't expect to hear the word pride. No, you that and then when they lift it up, of course, my mind went right to skirts.
Pulling them down and lifting them up.
That's
I
what you
took
get for
them
being-
and threw them on the ground.
Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor.
I was referencing Lonely Island, but that's acceptable too. So I think that band. Which band is that? That's not Trapped?
No,
Is
drowning.
that Drowning Pool? Okay, never mind. I was gonna say I think that band went weird conservative, but that was Trapped.
Yeah,
not
yeah.
Drowning Pool.
They had one good hit, then they had a second almost hit, and then they got weird.
Take you on, headstrong, will take on anyone. Anyway, who wants to hear what other songs I used to listen to instead of the show?
Oh God!
Why?
You know,
Why would we do that? Because
That's the fucking point. Thank you.
thank you for that treasure, Jimmy. I appreciate it a lot.
there you go. You know, when he gets distracted from the war he's in to go fight another war for the people he's supposed to be defending, why did the Lamanites not do something? What, were they just sitting there waiting for him to come back?
Well,
Just
that
like,
wouldn't make a very
a
good
well-scripted
story,
enemy.
would it,
Yeah.
Shannon?
I
They'll
know.
stand there in the field. Like this time, they're surely not going to bring those big, huge chunks of metal that we keep running our swords into.
Yeah.
They're surely not going to have armor this time, right, guys?
No,
right?
since
We'll win
we're
this
naked,
time.
they're gonna come naked, right? Yeah.
I bet Shannon complains about the
Only fair.
Eagles not being ridden to Mount Doom.
I absolutely do not. Tolkien is sacrosanct. You do not criticize Tolkien. All right.
Did you hear his interview about that? Did you hear what he said about that?
I think he said
Wasn't it
Eagles
just that he
didn't
forgot?
it, wasn't it? Something like that.
Tolkien was
remember.
talking about how he's in a pub somewhere and somebody harassed him about it, and he said, well, why didn't they just fly the Eagles to Mount Doom? And he says, look, here's the thing about that. Shut up.
Yeah, he forgot. He forgot he had already invented Eagles.
I know that was such a. I mean, the problem with the Eagles is they're very Deus ex machina. It's like, okay, dude, all right.
Mhm.
I hate the fucking Eagles, man.
I know.
Oh man.
Hotel
you should never leave.
California. It weirdly, it came up on a stream earlier today that apparently the Eagles is the 4th highest earning band in all of history. I didn't double check the statistic. I feel like it's questionable, but I was told that earlier today, and I'm like, really? Because people can name one song by them. How is that possible?
But isn't
You
the
can
highest
thank
paid
them.
band in history the guys who wrote the Friends theme song? Is that something crazy like that? I think
I
that's
thought it
true.
was the Beatles, but
I thought it was Beyonce.
Is she a band though? Or is she a solo?
Well, wait, I mean, she performs with a band, but
yeah, but she's a
apparently
solo.
it's the Rolling Stones. They're the highest
Yeah,
earning
the
band.
Stones would be. Yeah.
Number
That's
2
true.
is
They're
the
still
Eagles.
going.
The
You
Eagles
too?
were the first band to really rack up the ticket prices for their concerts, though. They were the ones that kind of turned that bend to where the ticket prices are ridiculous.
So
Yeah.
basically, we have the Eagles to thank for Ticketmaster, and I think that means that they deserve the death penalty. Rolling Stones, U2, Genesis, the Eagles, the Beatles, in that order.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember giving a
That's
speech
so
a year
weird.
or two ago. I gave a speech a year or two ago about the economy and how it had changed. And I'm giving a live presentation for this. And I remember saying that, back in the 80s, I went to go see Ozzy and Judas Priest, and it was $15 to get in, and they were dollar drafts. And then last year, I went to go see Ozzy and Judas Priest, and it was $150 to get in.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
That was a
and
good
$10
price.
beer. So
So
everything
everything
went
was
up 10
times it by
times.
10.
Yeah.
There was some
Fuck.
music festival recently. It might have been a Taylor Swift thing, but where they showed the stalls that were serving food, and a full pizza was $115.
No.
fuck
There is no
that.
pizza worth that.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Yeah, and the worst part is it's concert pizza. So like
It'd be
it
gross.
sucks. Like
Yeah.
they
It's-
probably didn't even splurge on DiGiorno. It's some garbage they picked
It's
up.
like
frozen.
Domino's, the worst Domino's. Yeah.
I was thinking 7-Eleven's pizza. That stuff's so even fresh out of the oven tastes like shit.
Yep.
Plastic.
Oh God. Yeah. All right. Onwards. And it came to pass that there were 4,000 of those dissenters who were hewn down by the sword.
Cool.
And those of their leaders who were not slain in battle were taken and cast into prison. For there was no time for their trials at this period.
Good
We
God,
don't need habeas corpus. Fuck that shit.
Trials! Good
These
God.
poor guys, you're trying to kill tens of thousands of people, and you're trying to do it by hewing them down with swords. They're being hewn down with swords. There's a much more
Lawnmower.
industrial solution. I could just imagine the battlefield and all these guys running up there, and then they're run over by a combine.
That's gross.
I mean, why not? They've got submarines.
Yeah, the
Right.
time dimension in this book is very fluid. So why the fuck
They
not?
have steel swords. Why not?
Fuck,
they
all
can just do
4,000 of them got nuked. Why not?
Why not? I want lightsabers. Twirly lightsabers. There we go. What's his name? The one who had 4. The droid, whatever.
Oh, Grievous.
Oh,
General
yeah,
Grievous.
That's
Grievous.
him.
Fuck,
General
Grievous, he's my
Grievous. Him.
favorite.
Go in with
Yes.
4 swords.
I've been trained by Count Dooku.
Yeah. There we go. I want that. Yeah.
And voiced by the guy who does Miss Piggy.
Oh God. And the remainder of those dissenters, rather than be smitten down to the earth by the sword, yielded to the standard of liberty and were compelled to
They're
hoist
compelled.
Nothing
the
says liberty like
title
being
of
compelled.
liberty. Yep. They were compelled to hoist it, the title of liberty, upon their towers and in their cities.
That is a bit of an
take up
ironic
arms.
statement, isn't it?
Yes, it is. In defense
Fascists.
of their country. And no true believing Mormon sees that. They do not see that. They do not see the problem there.
And then Moroni sent all of their leaders to fucking Gulag, yo.
Yeah.
He
Put
sent
them
them
in
to
a
the
concentration
Gulag.
camp.
And
It
there
demonstrates-
there was just no time for their trials in this whole land that's reigned by judges. Literally, the only thing that they do is judging shit. And we just don't have time for these, prisoners of war. No. Well,
So-
Is anybody else feeling uncomfortable with how the parallels between this and the week to come in Israel? Because I don't think Israel. I could hear the Israel saying things like, "Sorry, we didn't have time for trials."
Yeah.
not trying to be controversial here.
I was thinking about Putin, how he's
goddamn.
clearly the most similar to Captain Moroni, like, mow down the dissenters. And although he doesn't use gulag so much as just open assassination, but
Right.
details.
Don't his people
No time for
don't his
trials.
people just accidentally fall out of fifth-story windows a lot?
Yeah.
It's usually poison, I think, too.
Or their
that's
plane
that's another one,
strangely goes
because
down.
How common is
Again.
it that you get polonium poisoning on the subway?
Right.
Meanwhile, fucking Roger Stone says that there's. He says, is it Roger Stone? No, Oliver Stone says that there's no. I've not seen any evidence he's behind all of his enemies dying now in the dozens of people.
Right.
It's just a commonality.
It just
Another
happens.
crazy parallel is the armor versus skins thing. I mean, there's kind of firepower that Israel has. They're just going to be, even the rhetoric that he's saying. He was saying that he's going to just turn them into rubble. The evil country of Gaza will be turned to rubble.
Yeah, it's actually real uncomfortable. The theme of today's chapter, it's almost like God wanted us to talk about it today. That was a joke.
There's that book, Silence by, what was it? Something like that. But and it had in there, isn't it set in Japan, and these priests are forced to deny Christ in it? The author of it, or somebody, I can't remember all the details because it's like 35 years ago, but it was the author or somebody talking about it, was speaking at BYU, and they were saying how the one who denied Christ in it, that was the sort of the hero of the whole thing. And it just sparked this massive, huge discussion about it among people that were just vastly, very diametrically opposed on their opinions of it, because they're like, no, you're never supposed to deny the Christ. You're never supposed to give in. You're not any of that stuff. But yet that is exactly what is happening here in this chapter. I mean, no, it's not denying the Christ, but they're forcing people to go against what they actually believe if they want to stay alive. That's the same thing. But yet this is seen as, to Mormons, as, oh, this is great. This is wonderful. But if it's somebody having to deny Christ, that's bad. They're the same thing. It's the exact same thing.
Well, we were told to never deny that you were Mormon, to always be proud of your Mormonism.
Yes. It'd be better to die than to deny Christ. Yeah.
I don't know if I'm the he. Someone in live chat said he's calling it Israel's 9/11 and just repeating Bush lines. The Hamas attack is Israel's 9/11. And just like 9/11, Israel is now going to overreact and have total disregard for civilian life and will murder
total
tons of people
war.
who don't deserve it. Yep.
Total war.
The history of deaths caused by Hamas versus Israel from, mind you, the strongest power in the Middle East. It is always disproportionate, sometimes by hundreds of times over, as in retaliation for a couple dozen deaths from Hamas, they've killed thousands of people, including a huge number of civilians. So I don't know what if the person was complaining about comparing it to 9/11. I chose that on the last show for reasons that I think are apt. But fuck Hamas, to be clear. I hope that, fucking.
Well, they still ended up getting civilians, and I get what you mean about the superior firepower, because Hamas attacked from hang gliders.
Yeah. Wow. That takes some shit.
I have so many questions.
Anyway, the world wouldn't be better without religion.
The world is shit because of religion.
I hate religion.
Yeah.
Yep. Tell me again how it improves lives and isn't harmful.
Right.
Yeah.
And while you do that, tell me how many wars were caused by it, and how many wars weren't caused by religion.
Was it all of them?
Yeah. All the worst ones? Yeah.
No,
it was the excuse given.
Jews for other reasons.
Oh,
it was the excuse given. With the American wars, it was a little bit different. We don't go help countries that need help. We go help countries that have opium, or that have oil, or that have something else that we want to take control of.
It's not.
We're going to
it's not
spread freedom whether
religion.
they like it or not.
Well, now I'm confused because the same person who I thought was mad at me for calling it the 9/11 of Israel now said well said, and so maybe they liked my clarification. I don't know. I thought
It
they were
could be.
mad, but now
Yeah.
they like me.
Well,
I don't think
with
you
the
said it
pronoun game, it's
first, though.
hard. They said he. I
I
think
assume
they
they
may have been
watched
talking
last show.
about. Oh, did you do it in? I didn't catch all of it.
In the last show, I called it Israel's 9/11.
Yeah.
Ah,
The Guardian also listed it as that. But yeah.
Do you want to know what's fucking creepy? Because I am an oracle or at least a prophet. Literally the day before it happened, I mentioned that ever since 9/11, I've had this air of waiting. I've felt this literally since I was 11 years old. Like, when's the next one? The next 9/11 any day now. The next 9/11 any day now. And I tweeted that's
Yeah,
a thing that I periodically become obsessed with 9/11. I watch all of the footage from the day itself, like the live coverage. It's a weird thing that I do. My family's from New York. My dad lost friends, all that kind of shit. I get weirdly obsessed with it. And then I get even more in that zone of like, how has the next one not happened? And then literally I threaded it, not tweeted. I threaded it. And that was what the next day happened.
How
it's
I
all
old
wish
are
I could
you?
work on my. Wish I could work on my word association. When Jimmy says, "You know what's fucking creepy?" My first thought is me chaperoning a high school dance.
Yes.
well, I mean, I suppose that could count.
Many
Apropos of
for
nothing,
real.
that's a weird thing to say.
many years after having high school age kids, especially.
Right.
Jimmy, how old were you when 9/11 happened?
11.
Wow.
11 years old. Whoa,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's nuts.
I think that's the same sort of feeling that believers refer to when they say, we know the rapture's coming soon, Jesus is coming back soon, because we can feel that sense of dread waiting for the last trump to sound and shoe to drop or whatever. I think that might just be a human thing. Like, we know we
The
live in a
last
world where
Trump
we're...
to sound? You mean there's more than one?
I was going to say.
Unfortunately.
I was going to say that I want to be there for that.
Junior, Ivanka.
Mhm.
There's so many Trumps.
I reproduced that way I could be an ongoing nightmare. You're not going to hear the last of me, even after I die of old age, seemingly 100 years from now, because KFC just hits my body different than everybody else. How is he?
Yeah.
How? If I eat KFC, I have the meat sweats for a week and I breathe heavy and I'm sad. He eats KFC, sleeps 3 hours a night. And okay, I get it. It's cocaine. Sorry, I answered my own question.
He's
Well, no,
probably on
his
some
drug
weird
of choice
flush.
is not cocaine, as I understood it. It's
Antihistamines.
I forget what it. Yeah,
Ivermectin.
something along those. No.
That's not
I
his drug of
forget what it
choice.
is, but
that's just recreational.
I've been
it's
injecting
something-
sunlight.
It's something closer to speed, but
Yeah,
I can't remember exactly what it
Sudafed,
is.
I think, is what you're talking about.
Yeah, but he was
Ephedrine.
never a smoker, like ever.
Yeah.
So there is that.
I don't know what
So
you're
I-
talking about. I don't take
Which
any
is so
performance enhancing
fucking
drugs.
crazy to look at his legacy and the decisions he's made. Like, most people who are fucking evil and incarnate, you're like, yeah, well, they were fucked up the whole time. No, he's level-headed making the decisions he does. That just it's unbelievable that it's like, no, how this tweet came from a sober person? I don't believe it. I'm sorry.
By the way, I was living in Florida when 9/11 happened, but my grandparents and my aunt and uncle were there. My uncle actually helped with cleanup starting the next day. But it was Florida, so I don't remember whether or not I was in math class or meth class. They teach both in Florida middle schools.
I've heard that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Since they had to close all their libraries, they had to replace it with something
Yeah,
else.
Yeah,
since they
you
don't
can
teach history. Yeah.
You can learn to cook meth, but don't you call it gay meth. Don't even
Right.
say gay meth.
And you can't talk about slavery. Don't talk
Nope.
about that. No, none of that. So
That's
Speaking
mostly
of
because they
slavery-
don't want the kids to unionize.
Jesus
Thank
Christ.
you. Thank you
Let
so
me jump
much.
into a couple of comments since we're
I was
building up
worried
here.
no one would laugh at
Right.
that.
So Matt White says, Nephi. Nephi? Really? Is
Nephi.
Nephi?
Nephi.
Nephi. Okay.
We love Nephi. Nephi's one of the
Nephi.
demons.
Do we have seagull sign? Alma, we have seagull signs such as Moroni has never seen.
That's for Bryce.
Yep. And then the Raven 200 offers $5 and says, "We're talking music, Jimmy. If we're talking music, Jimmy, go take a Black Dahlia murder concert and get trapped in the mosh pit. R.I.P. Trevor Strnad."
Did
See,
Trevor
Strnad
not die? Did that happen?
That's sad.
Was he the guy who died in the mosh pit incident a couple of years ago?
No, Trevor Strnad is the vocalist for Black Dahlia Murder. And I don't listen to the band, but I just know he's done a whole bunch of features on Infant Annihilator and a bunch of other bands, and he has a crazy iconic voice. I did not know that he had died. That's I mean,
Last
that's almost
year,
as
May
big
11th.
as Mitch Lucker. That's a shame. Fuck,
May
that sucks.
11th, just after his 41st birthday.
This year. So very recently then.
Last year.
Last year. Okay.
2022.
Wow,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Okay.
At least he was on for the Battle of Yaldabaoth. He did a guest feature on that album, and it's fucking
So no
good.
cause was ever shared, but the band basically kept sharing after that, like the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, very sad.
Fuck.
A lot of mentions
Wow.
about struggles with
R.I.P.
mental illness.
Yeah,
R.I.P.
I can read between the lines.
Mhm.
So
Hey.
9/11. Just kidding.
So prisoners of war becoming slave laborers, and like, look, what I think the takeaway from the material that we're discussing here is that these poor Lamanites really needed a Hague Convention or something to protect them from the ravages of Moroni.
Yeah, for sure. All right. And thus, Moroni put an end to those kingmen, that there were not any known by the appellation of kingmen. And thus he put an end to the stubbornness and the pride of those people who professed the blood of nobility. But they were brought down to humble themselves like unto their brethren, and to fight valiantly for their freedom from bondage.
Fucking seriously, forcing the prisoners of war to fight against their own people, like, fuck, that is so deranged. Oh, Moroni is such a monster.
We got to fight
This is the
against
guy
bondage
Mormons
by
love
putting
this
everyone
guy.
in bondage.
I love this
Yeah,
guy.
every one of the
Everything he
kingmen
did
were
was
murdered.
wonderful, because he's a man like unto Ammon and the other sons of Mosiah. Yeah, okay. Okay. Behold, it came to pass that while Moroni was thus breaking down the wars and contentions among his own people and subjected them to peace and civilization.
Subjecting them to peace.
Now
Word
that's a
choice.
direct reference to
that's a
Native
good
Americans.
call.
That's
Absolutely.
exactly what Manifest Destiny was all about. We're not stealing their land. We're bringing them Christianity and civilization.
Because, you know, we're the
Wow.
good guys. We're the white ones. And making regulations to prepare for war against the Lamanites. Behold. the
Wait.
Lamanites-
Wait. Hold on.
Yes.
You're subjecting them to peace
By force.
and making regulations to prepare for war.
Yes. So he subjected his own people to peace.
Is this a Metallica song?
Yes. There you go. That's where they got it.
So be it. Fret no more.
I would love to hear Metallica do this. Yes. Making regulations to prepare for war against the Lamanites. Behold, the Lamanites had come into the land of Moroni, which was in the borders by the seashore. And it came to pass that the Nephites were not sufficiently strong in the city of Moroni. Therefore, Amalickiah did drive them, slaying many, because they
I'ma
fucking
lick ya.
deserved it. And it came to pass that Amalickiah took possession of the city. Yeah, possession
Yay!
of all their fortifications. That's
Whoops.
because Captain Moroni was too busy killing his own people. That's
So
why
now
he was able to
Moroni
do
has to
this.
go liberate the city of Moroni.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Really quick clarification here. So the Nephites were not sufficiently strong in the city of Moroni. I'm sorry, I was mistaken. Never mind.
Yeah, because they were
Let's
off
continue.
fighting the other Nephites.
I thought I read it as in they had, like, the attacking force had come into the city and had built fortifications in the city, and it's like, that's not how war works. No, I misread it. So
You
never
misread
mind.
it. That's okay. It's all really shitty anyway.
I know. It's also like the prepositions in this are terrible, and like the writing style, and like there is nothing in this book that leads me to believe that the author has any idea of how war actually works. So, me coming to that conclusion isn't fucking insane because it's so stupid.
Right?
So bad.
Yes,
Right.
exactly. And those who fled out of the city of Moroni came to the city of Nephi, and also the people of the city of Lehi gathered themselves together and made preparations and were ready to receive the Lamanites to battle. But it came to pass that Amalickiah would not suffer the Lamanites to go against the city of Nephi to battle, but kept them down by the seashore, leaving men in every city to maintain and defend it. So in other words, he's not going to spread himself too thin because he got their city and he's not going to give it up easily. Okay.
Never going to let them down? Ever going to run around and desert them?
We built this city. We got this city. Okay.
Which is like, okay, so that's a good thing. He's going into defensive mode until you read the very next fucking verse.
And thus he went on taking possession of many cities.
So now he's an offensive source.
Because, of course, Joseph Smith doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about.
Yeah.
And he probably took a break there for a couple days and forgot what he wrote first, Very likely. Maybe he's a little drunk. Taking possession of many cities, the city of Nephi, and the city of Lehi, and the city of Morianton, and the city of Alma, and the city of Gid, and the city of Mulek, all of which were on the east borders by the seashore.
Oh, write that down.
The city of Gid?
The city of Gid.
No kidding.
And thus had the Lamanites obtained by the cunning of Amalickiah so many cities by their numberless hosts, all of which were strongly fortified after the manner of the fortifications of Moroni, all of which afforded strongholds for the Lamanites.
Because the defenses worked so well against the Lamanites.
They're like, hey, let's just take it over, and then we're good. We've got ourselves our trebuchets, and we've got orcs, and we've got them all. Okay.
We'll
and
be
it came
an
to pass.
impregnable fortress.
And what is it called? Gronk? Is that what it is? In Return of the King, what the orcs made to
never heard
battering
of
ram.
the
Oh, the
they
giant
spent
battering ram?
7 billion years making. What is it they called it? I
Oh,
always
shit.
forget.
I can't
It's like
remember.
Gronk or Grok or something
Chad,
like that.
save us. We don't know.
Yeah. And then Moroni said, they've got a cave
Gronk.
troll.
We have a Hulk.
Grond, Grond.
Okay, Grond. I was close.
Ah.
He's seeing the orcs.
Don't need a gun. I've got a
Grond.
dunk.
Gronk was you were getting that mixed up with Rob Gronkowski.
Yeah, there we go.
Heard of Crunk?
He's known as Gronk. He was a receiver for the Patriots, and I don't know it because I actually watched sports ball, but because he then appeared in lots of other pop culture media things.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. You lost me on half of that, but that's all right. And it came to pass that they marched to the borders of the land bountiful, driving the Nephites before them and slaying
Bryce.
many.
So the
But-
Nephites have completely given up on armor at this point, I guess?
I guess. Well, the
Kid,
ones with
damn it.
armor, Moroni's got them fighting their own people. That's the problem.
Did
Good
someone
point.
already
But-
make "Kid Damn It" as a joke? I went to the bathroom again. Did anyone
Ah.
do it when we
No.
came to the land of Gid?
Not yet.
That was 3 verses ago. You're late.
I don't even know what verse we're on, so don't bind me
29.
to your. Well, thank you.
29.
Now I
welcome.
know.
What's the good? What's the good joke?
I just said "Gid Damn It."
Oh,
Mhm.
good damn it!
Gid damn it.
It's a weak joke.
Someone in chat said "Get her done."
Get her
Knows better.
done, good damn it!
Yeah.
All right. But it came to pass that they were met by Tiancum, who had slain Morianton and had headed his people in his
Both
flight.
of them?
Right? And it came to pass that he headed Amalickiah also, as he was marching forth with his numerous army, that he might take possession of the land bountiful and also the land northward. Did we already get the bit where Tiancum snuck in and killed whoever? the Lamanite leader. Has that happened already?
Yeah,
I think that was a
that's
couple chapters
Morianton.
ago.
Tiancum, who had
That was
slain
Morianton?
Morianton.
Okay.
Yeah.
We fought in the first time he did that? Okay.
Yeah,
Just
I
checking.
have to suspect some of these obviously made up names, like the city of Gid.
Really?
Cora
Some?
Whore,
Some?
Cora
Just some,
Whore,
just some.
and Pay a Whore, and TN Come. Really?
Look, I get that I'm a silly boy, but I'm not entirely joking when I say I think half of the things in this book are jokes. I think that they were like, okay, if we call him T and Come, no one's gonna buy it, right? Oh my God, they still buying it.
Honestly,
the thing is, Aaron is. Go ahead, Bryce.
I was gonna say there is a hypothesis out there that literally the name Nephi was a 16th and 17th century signal for a Poe. For like, this is a satire, this is a joke. So the first two words in it are I
cool.
Nephi, which signals any readers who are aware
I
of
am a
that
joke.
highbrow literary criticism or that signal, that the very first two words they read, they're like, oh, so the whole book is a Poe. Okay, cool.
So,
Dude, that's so true,
was
man.
Joey
I
that
know it's
smart,
true.
though? Was
He
Joey that
was.
smart?
He was. That's why this joke is on everybody else. The people that think this book is true are the ones that the joke's on.
Joseph Smith was the Logan Paul of his day. It's just a prank, bro. It's a prank.
Right.
Who was his scribe for First Nephi?
That was Oliver Cowdery. Well, no,
Okay,
it
he
would
was
have
smart
that would
enough.
have been John Whitmer, because that with the Messiah priority theory, that would have been near the end of the process, and that's when John Whitmer was doing most of the scribing.
After the sealed was
Because
done.
I'm like, I don't think Joey knew enough for that.
Well, Emma did
Somebody
that.
else did.
I agree
Oliver
with you, Shannon.
Cowdery. Yeah, I can see
And I don't think that the people in his immediate vicinity were smart enough for it.
No.
So I'm not saying Whitmer was in on it. I'm saying Whitmer was the first victim. I'm Joseph Smith, and welcome to Jackass.
I think Martin Harris was his first victim.
Yeah, Martin Harris was for sure.
Martin,
Yeah,
not so smarty Marty. Yeah,
that's true.
It's the whole thing, though, with Mormons. Everything's in plain sight. Just like with the celestial thing. That literally means eternal polygamy is what he's talking about.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep.
But Mormons don't want to talk about polygamy, so they use code words.
Yep.
By the way, has anyone else come across? I came across it 3 times in VR rooms this week. There's a lot of people who thinks the movie The Godmakers is put out by the church because The Godmakers is on YouTube called What Mormons Believe. A lot of people are under the impression that that's an old bit of church media.
Oh yeah, they think the cartoon is like a real Mormon cartoon.
Yeah. And it feels weird to like, I feel like I'm defending the church when I'm like, okay, for the record,
I did not make this.
It's not that
Ed Decker was not.
Yeah.
Oh God, when I was in seminary and it was floating around, it was like that was put on par with the Exorcist. And
totally.
what was the name of that other one? Jesus Christ Superstar, I think is the one. Those were like the ones you were absolutely not supposed to see. The prophet was telling you that from the pulpit, all of that shit. And the Godmakers was up there with it. Yeah.
I was told by my seminary teacher that it is illegal to possess or distribute that media. And if you meet anybody who has it, or the Godmakers too, if you meet anyone who has either of them, you should immediately call the police. And now
classic.
I
The
now
Godmakers
wish I
cookbook.
had. Like, what would I have? I wish I had come across someone who had it and called the police just to have that experience of the humbling experience of the police going, "Why are we here?"
Did you guys see part 2 has Hinckley has like bachelor pad parties with bisexual threesomes and invites all these like hookers over and stuff? Yeah, it's awesome.
I thought it posited that there was orgies in the temple with the like. I thought that was part of it, but I never saw it. I was just told that it basically says that all the apostles get together and jerk each other off.
Well, did Ed Decker make the second one too?
I think so.
Yeah, he did, but they had some guy on his deathbed that had AIDS really bad, and he was telling all these tall tales about how he'd have these. He's like, yeah, Hinckley liked all the young boys, and they used to invite them and the black hookers over, and we'd all have threesomes and sex orgies up in the cabin, and yeah, it was crazy.
It's funny
Part 2 is
because that
awesome.
all sounds crazy, but then also 50 years from now, like people will look back and go investigate. That's the kind of shit that it sounds crazy at the time and then turns out to be true. I'm not saying I think it's true, but
Hinckley was a libertine.
Yeah, we're gonna find out. We're gonna find out he was
Well, then you get things like Joseph Bishop, what he did when he was a president at MTC, and how he targeted young women.
And how he had a special little chamber in the basement there that was just specially prepped for him.
And the pornography videos, so he could show it to him to all
It's
that
weird
stuff.
that came out through somebody making up stuff. It's really crazy.
There was a
that
guy
was like tertiary to what that other lady was saying.
There was another mission leader who had been found to be sexually abusing the sister missionaries in his district. And that guy was the son of my first stake president, who is the person my dad tried to model all of his parenting and Mormonism after. Fun little fact.
Yay.
Are you trying to tell us something about yourself right now, Jimmy?
No, he didn't. He didn't get his hooks into me. Not him.
Oh, okay.
I'm not a sister missionary. I'm just saying that my dad sure can pick good role models.
Yeah.
He wants to parent just like the guy who parented a rapist of a son. He wants to be the same
desertion.
kind of dad.
They have no desertion at all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who wants to hear the push or pull story again, since it got silent and weird?
Well, I was going to say, we were way the fuck in the weeds.
You just reminded me about Jimmy's example about my stepdad, my evil stepdad, and I celebrated with much alcohol the day he died. My stepdad modeled himself kind of after John Wayne, but he didn't do a really good job of it. He did more of a Lee Iacocca than John Wayne. The only thing that he kind of looked like John Wayne, but the only other thing that they had in common was that they hated people who weren't white.
I say we strip John Wayne of his badass status and do the right thing and start calling him Marion again.
Here we go.
Yep.
John Wayne's real name is Marion, if anyone
Yeah, it was.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Onwards. Verse 31.
You're taking an awful long time to get through this chapter.
I know. I'm like, we're going to finish one fucking chapter, and then everybody will be like, yeah, when Shannon comes on, you take forever to get through anything, and everybody's going to blame on.
I know. We can't even blame Tomer for this one.
Is this not a trauma?
I'm not going to get into my
Are
trauma.
we live? Are people watching this? I thought this was just us.
But behold, he met with a disappointment by being repulsed. Teancum and his men, for they were great warriors. For every man of Teancum did exceed the Lamanites in their strength and in their skill of war, insomuch that they did gain advantage over the Lamanites.
I'm sorry. Are we?
That's a big giggity verse right there.
We're just glossing over being repulsed by Teancum, like.
Mm-hmm. And then gained advantage by their
They
strength.
hated the smell and the taste.
Yep.
Are they both in one cup?
It's a salty tea.
That's a classic reference right there.
Yeah.
I'll have 2 sugars, 3 salts.
I sure wish I didn't brew iced tea this morning when I got on this show.
It's all the milk, I swear.
3 salts was my favorite joke of the night, but no one laughed.
And it came to pass that they did harass them, insomuch that they did slay them, even until it was dark. And it came to pass that Teancum and his men did pitch their tents.
Woohoo.
Wow.
Yeah, they
On
did.
top of corpses.
That's
Of
another
the-
one that I think there is no reason to ever bring up pitching tents, ever. Contextually, it doesn't matter. We don't need to know tents were present or not. And I submit
Joey
that
does
is
it
part of the prank.
27,000 times in this book.
Exactly.
They pitched their tents in the borders of the land bountiful.
And it's never the wives pitching tents, even though realistically in this patriarchal society, that's who would have been doing it. It's always
never
the boys.
How would
expanded
the wives
on.
be doing it? They got nothing to pitch with.
They're never hammering in stakes or tying up
Yeah.
They don't
You
have the
never
body
hear-
part to be pitching that.
They're just pitching tents.
They might be the cause of a pitch tent, but they're not
Uh,
pitching the
Harkening
tent.
back,
I don't know.
harkening back to childhood trauma. Why was it
Oh,
always?
no.
Why was it always just before the lunch bell rang in 8th grade? Why? Why then?
We call it a Pavlovian response.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, to your point, Shannon, someone who talks about how great in stature he is as much as Nephi did wasn't interested in the girls.
No, they weren't.
So we've
Okay.
got Amalekya and Tiancum
Mhm.
pitching tents at each other aggressively.
Mhm. Mhm.
This is getting. I feel like I need either popcorn or some lube or I don't know what.
Well, I mean, it was after a day of cutting down thousands of people, so you're already sweaty and dirty. You just get in the mood.
Well,
just
they did
the
say
battle.
Keep
because
talking, Bryce. Just talk slower.
Tiancum was a great warrior. He got off on this. He's a berserker probably as well, that kind of thing. So he gets off on the whole thing, right?
Yep.
Amalek is at a huge
Berserker.
disadvantage. When they fight, not only is he going to have to fight, he's going to have to try to keep Tiancum out of his hair.
Would you like some making fuck berserker? Okay, sorry.
All my favorite jokes are just not going through today.
Not today. And Amalekite did pitch his tent in the borders on the beach by the seashore. Lots of prepositional phrases here. And after this manner were they driven. And it came to pass that when the night had come, Tiancum and his servants stole forth and went out by night and went into the camp of Amalekite. And behold, sleep had overpowered them because of their much fatigue, which was caused by the labors and heat of the day.
This
And it
would be
came
a
to
great
pass.
time to
Weird.
attack.
I know.
That was weird. The night had come, TM come.
There we go. And it came to
Nice.
pass that Tiancum stole privily into the tent of the king and put a javelin through his heart. And he did cause the death of the king immediately.
Holy
did
shit.
not. Awake his servants.
I always sneak with a
This is-
freaking javelin. Stealth mode.
I mean, this stuff is always so anticlimactic. It's like you're going along and it just happens and it just keeps going, you know? I mean,
This
that
was
was a major thing. He just got stuck in the heart with a javelin.
Yeah.
This was what I was asking
Stuck
about.
through the heart and
Or-
you're
or
too
like, did
late.
Tiancum sneaky thing. Yeah.
Because when you
So-
get cum in your hair, it gets all bound up and crusty, was the joke earlier. I just thought I'd explain on the tail end.
All right. And he
Mhm.
returned
Explaining it makes it funnier.
privily.
So that's
to
he'd
his
have to
cave.
fight and try to keep it out of his hair.
Got it. We got it the first time. Yeah.
I'll come back.
But he
around
used the
to it.
javelin and got him anyway.
We'll come around. We'll come back.
Touch my javelin.
And
Stop, I'll pitch a
behold,
tent.
his men were asleep, and he awoke them and told them all the things he had done.
Hey, I just killed your king. Hey, I just
killed your
fucking-
king.
Killed him.
He told his own men, not Malachi's.
Got a javelin. What are you gonna do about it, bitches? So fucking cartoonishly stupid. Fuck, I hate this book.
He's telling his own people that. So, and he caused that his army should stand in readiness, lest the Lamanites had awakened and should come upon them. And thus
Woken or woke?
endeth the 25th year of the reign of the judges over the people of Nephi, and thus endeth the days of Amalickiah.
Well, that was
you have awakened?
coincidental.
Awaken or awoke?
Yes.
I
You're-
have
he woke them up and he told them a
Awakened.
prophecy. Your love life will run into trouble when your fiance hurls a javelin through your chest.
It was a lover's quarrel, we all know. But to have this big old fuck all battle on New Year's Eve, and we only find out it was New Year's Eve after it's over, I don't know.
Yep.
There's some questions I have about the narrational style
It's
here.
because Joey ends years wherever the fuck he wants.
I do have to push off. I'm glad we got through the chapter. Thanks everybody for having me. And
Good
the
seeing
point
Jimmy.
is that Tiancum is really unpleasant to have in your hair. Good night, everyone.
Later, Jimmy.
Night.
Thank you,
Forgot
Jimmy.
that one.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I'm a lick ya.
Oh my god.
Not anymore. None of my javelin has any say.
Okay, I don't know what to do from there.
Yeah, because
So
we got
that,
a really long chapter again, I think.
yeah.
So
So I
maybe
got
just-
some. I've got. Yeah, that is a long chapter. We're not going to be able to handle it, so
Giggity.
going to have to wait until next week.
Yeah.
So I'm going to read a couple of comments that have built up. The Raven 200 offers $5 and says, "If we're talking music, Jimmy, go to a Black
Read that
Dahlia
one already.
murder
You already
concert."
read that one.
I
Do
read
the
that
next
one.
one.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Then the Raven 200, get down on the ground. We know you have the God Makers. Come out with your hands up. Wait, this isn't the God Makers. It's just hentai or hentai or however you say it. Carry on.
Get down.
There we go.
Then Lilith Liberated asks, tell
Lilith.
Shannon. Yep, tell Shannon I get the same thing. They don't like women with thoughts or opinions or
Right.
words.
Yes, exactly. Right.
I mean,
Remember, there's only
don't get us
3
wrong.
women named.
Yeah, we want you to use your head, just differently.
Uh-huh.
With javelins.
Amber,
All right,
this was where the crickets came in. You need.
Oh,
Yeah.
yep. I'm
Get it.
slow on my thing. Here we go.
There you go.
I should have had that earlier when Jimmy's joke didn't land. Oh, I'm bad at my
joke?
job. What can I say?
Half of his
Right?
jokes didn't land. Where were you?
Yeah. Well, I was glad he was here, and I was glad you were here too, Shannon. You really
Thank
brought
you.
something to the show this time
Yeah,
around.
that
so-
was
It's
fun.
Hell yeah.
nice to
Yeah.
be back.
Yes.
It is nice to be back.
It's
on
good
the
to have
show.
you back, Benna.
Yeah.
Great surprise.
Indeed.
I've missed it a lot, actually. I missed a lot, that and my podcast a lot. But yeah, it is. I was like, Bryce, I think I'm going to try getting on Aaron's show. So we'll see how I do. Yes.
Glad
So,
glad you could make it. Will you be able to do next week? You think?
I should, barring any
Very
unforeseen
good.
things with my heart going, Shannon, we hate you. So
It's great because I cannot
Yeah.
be here next week, so I'm glad that Shannon is.
You
going
cannot be here next week.
That's right. Yep.
Can't
Yeah,
you
family
put
coming
it
into
off
town.
another week?
I got family coming into town. What can I say?
Bring
Bring
them
them
on the
on?
show.
Mom, Dad, I want you to meet the panel
Oh
of
my
godless
God.
We're reading the
heathens
Book of Mormon.
reading your holy book. What do you think?
yeah.
What could possibly
Good
go wrong?
perspective.
Just stick around 3-4 minutes. You'll get about 9 dick jokes. It'll be fun.
At some point, it's going to happen that the show's just going to be me and Gazalem. And
I'm up
not
for it. I'll be
expecting-
here.
I'm not expecting that one to be very productive, I'll tell you.
Oh yeah, it will be. We'll get the real scoop, man. I never get my word in edgewise, man. If you had me on, you'd know the real truth.
About Gordon B. Hinckley's blood fuck orgy cult.
Exactly.
Well, looking forward to that then. All right. I've been told that David Fitzgerald will be joining us next week.
Yay.
So even if we can't have Bryce, and I lament that we won't have Bryce, if I could replace Bryce with anybody, I would love to have David Fitzgerald on, because even though he's not
That'd be nice.
ex-Mo,
He's Mr.
he does.
Deity.
Yeah. Well, no, that's Dalton.
That's
Fitzgerald is the one who.
Sorry.
Yeah.
He's Mr.
Fitzgerald is the one
Nailed.
who wrote. He wrote Nailed,
Yes.
which was.
Oh,
and-
cool.
and
I've
he
read
wrote-
that.
And
No,
what was the
Fitzgerald
book
is
that he
amazing.
did that he wrote that exposes Mormonism? I forget the title of
Complete
that
Heretic's Guide to Western Religion. Book
Yeah.
one, Mormon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I know
Yeah.
exactly.
Wonderful book. Wonderful book.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. That'd
I
be
love
cool.
it.
He gave a stellar presentation in Canada a month or two ago when we were up there. I was impressed. He because of COVID, it had affected all of our speaking schedules, and he hadn't been on stage since 2020. But he came out swinging, and it was a great presentation.
Good.
Anyway,
Was that
looking
He's
forward to
good.
having him on
Bill-
next week.
a
He's a
Bill
good
and
one.
Ted's connection?
What?
Oh, never mind. Like Bill and Ted's. I just was it.
It's all
Party
right.
on.
Okay.
Be excellent to each other.
All right. See you all next week. Well,
Bye.
some of you.
Good night, everyone.